This right here is a perfect representation of all of us waiting to see if there's going to be a Candace versus TPUSA debate. Oh, it's fake. An AI, come on! As, of course, the drama is heating up, especially between Candace Owens and Tim Pool, as a lot of people are now hyper-focusing on this one single issue. Will there be a debate? Will there not be a debate? As there's a lot of things to talk about, specifically when it comes to a lot of finger-pointing, a lot of blame, a lot of back and forth, as, of course, Tim once again came at Candace. Candace once again responded, as a lot of people are saying this is spiraling out of control. And a lot of people are making a lot of very serious accusations against each other. Who is in the right here? What's really going on? Well, we're going to be discussing that, as well as all of the latest dramas and concerns, all here on this YouTube channel. So if you appreciate these types of conversations, subscribe, click the notification button, as we greatly appreciate all the time that you spend with us. Now, Tim Pool definitely hasn't been holding anything back, as he just came out and says a leftist is suspected of taking out Charlie Kirk. This created the biggest crisis the right populist coalition has faced. Instead of rallying against the left and their violence, Candace, quote, has shifted the blame to the right and TPUSA. And he says credit to Naomi Shibit, who is on the show. They were discussing this. Owen Schroyer responded to this by saying, we just won the election. We already did that. We should be making deep state arrests, Doge reforms, and arrests, ending all foreign aid and foreign war involvement, cutting taxes. We're not. So now Republicans will lose midterms. That is all it is. And it's kind of like a light pushback. I know a lot of attention has been kind of given to Candace. We addressed this in yesterday's video. Tim kind of came out and claimed and saying, this is why we're going to lose the midterms. We don't have a big coalition. And I think what could be perfectly described here as kind of male-female type of behavior. The male behavior usually is focused around the kind of big picture, big coalition, what's next. The woman picture is more of a emotional type of picture. And I think that perfectly correlates with what Tim said and what Candace said here as well. Now, personally, yesterday, I respectively pushed back against Tim, because Tim came out and said, we're going to lose the midterms because of Candace. And I was like, okay, there might be some impact, but I think the vast majority of the impact of why, from my analysis, from my understanding, and again, I could be wrong, but from my impact, from my analysis, it's all the broken promises. It's the economy. It's the Epstein stuff. It's the Iran stuff. It's the war stuff. It's the people in the middle that voted for Donald Trump that are becoming disillusioned and blackpilled because the donor class is getting anything and everything that they want. Now, again, there are some political victories, but overall, I would wager that a lot of people seeing their grocery bills and electricity bills go up. I think that's a little bit more of a pressing matter than more of this kind of niche, nuanced internet type of Twitter reality that sometimes isn't the most perfect representation of what's happening outside of our kind of echo chambers and conversation hubs that are happening there. And I say that respectfully because I do think Tim makes some good points. And I think both of these individuals do provide good information. And again, I think it's important to take a step back, not be as emotional, and examine what people are saying. As Tim Pool has now, on his show, described Candace Owens' shows as lost episodes, where every show ends with a cliffhanger, never resolves itself, and, quote, people are hooked. Now, people are also saying Candace is refusing to debate TPUSA. We'll get into that because there's a lot of details here that matters. As, of course, Tim came out again and says, quote, no one hated Charlie more than Candace. And this is what he had to say against her. And then we're going to play her rebuttal in a little bit.
I think the idea that Charlie would want her to advocate everyone pull their donations from the organization he built.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
No one hates Charlie more than Candace Owens.
So a lot of this sparked up when Candace Owens specifically kind of hinted, winked, nodded, and kind of insinuated that TPUSA was behind taking out Charlie, right? Very vague language being used here. And Tim's like, oh, she's just using this. And then Tim's in his own beef with TPUSA that didn't invite us back to do the show. And I'm like, come on. So after Candace came out with that kind of very vague, generalized saying, it all comes out. And then, like, I'll be honest, nothing really came out. Tim kind of went hyperbolic and then went off on Candace.
Let me say that very, very clearly. I want to say it straight to the camera for all of her biggest fans, and then she can grab this clip and put it on her show. I do think it's absolutely hilarious that we're a substantially smaller show than hers, but she brought us up anyway. So thanks for saying my name, Candace. No one hated Charlie Kirk more than Candace Owens.
There was a Twitter beef where Tim was like, say my name. And then Candace, of course, responded to him. And now we have this kind of online Jerry Springer kind of beef here.
She reviles him, she spits on his grave, and she smiles while doing it. Okay, quote over. And I'll say this because Charlie spent his life building out these organizations. Candace is doing everything in her power to tear them down.
Tim then goes on and kind of explains what's going on here. We're going to play Candace's response here, as of course she played Tim's clip, responded to it. Before we do, just really quickly and shortly, sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. We just set up the Discord chat. It is lively. It is popping off. We have a lot of different categories and chapters of different things we're discussing. It's a really fun place. You could add a lot of memes and GIFs and all this other stuff. To get and to be a part of the Discord, talk to me one-on-one. Sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. I greatly cannot appreciate you guys enough. Times are tough. They're going to get tougher. Your support needed now more than ever. 20 cents a day, $8 a month. That's all it costs to support and be a part of this independent media organization where we get to work on projects together. I get to help you out with whatever you're doing, especially with the 3 masterclasses that you get by signing up to LukeUnfiltered.com. This makes for a great gift. Be like, hey, I'm giving you the gift. I'm not just supporting independent media, but 3 really cool masterclasses. The Apocalypse Survival one, we made it so you could just download it. One click of a button in case anything kind of happens where the signal goes down or whatever. If you want to learn how to travel for very cheap and potentially look at expatting options right here to travel. We have an old school Change Media University about being YouTubers and influencers and how you could do that right here. So go check that out and a lot more, all on LukeUnfiltered.com. So go check that out. Go subscribe. And I cannot thank you guys enough. Now, Candace kind of responded to Tim in this video.
28, and it's because she's a piece of shit. Because instead of saying, guys, let's come together and figure out how to work together, she says the stupidest, retarded crap. And now everybody's running around divided and broken. For what reason? For literally what reason?
Because they killed Charlie Kirk in broad daylight, and we don't care about your stupid midterms. We just don't care. Like, they really, this is how they view Charlie Kirk. That's why I say, was anything in his life real? Tim Pool.
Now, I wish I would get a compliment. Who's they? Who's they? Like, that's our famous guy, Tim Pool. Who's they? Can we get that? I mean, because there's a lot of insinuation, and I think a little bit clarification would go a long way.
Is going off right now because he's like, it's not the time. You guys need to be mules. You need to keep voting in the very corrupt people that are lying to your faces right now about what happened to Charlie Kirk. It is not the time because it is your job to get people into office.
And Candace is speaking to a more kind of disenfranchised black pill type of audience that is just sick of politics because they're seeing, okay, yeah, this guy, Trump, promised to go in there, promised to do all these things, and he's backtracking on some of his major key promises. And a lot of people who are Candace voters aren't voters. A lot of Tim viewers are voters, right? But Candace also represents that kind of middle, that kind of anti-establishment, that type of skeptical person that did vote for Trump, but now is saying, I won't vote for Trump, right? So I think that's an important distinction to understand here moving forward.
This is what I mean when I suggest that nothing in Charlie Kirk's life was real. So he really thinks he's doing something there. And actually what he's doing is proving my point. These people just saw Charlie as a means to an end.
So there's a misunderstanding here, I think. Because look, I think Tim's coming from the perspective of like, Charlie built this empire. He helped Trump get elected. He was the #1 rallier. Let's continue on his legacy. Let's pay respects to his legacy. Let's build him up, and let's try to do that. Candace is saying, no, I need to find out what happened to him first. I really cared about him, coming from more an emotional type of perspective, kind of the female-male dynamic that we usually see portrayed in character types of the genders, right? That's usually how it is. One is kind of a long-term type of legacy perspective. Another one's like, no, now emotions. They took out Charlie. And granted, Charlie did have a relationship with Candace. And Candace is releasing the text messages between them. I always argued that there's a little bit more emotion here. And I think that's, if you come from that understanding, you're like, okay, well, it makes a little bit more sense with how everything's kind of being taken care of.
Okay, as a political horse that they could ride. And so for whatever reason, they got tired riding him. And now they're angry because they also were going to whip the horse, the ghost of Charlie Kirk, and say, we still need you to shore up votes. And it is inconvenient that people who actually cared about Charlie and saw him as a, I don't know, human being, want to know why he was publicly executed in front of us and why we're being lied to about everything. That is why Tim Pool is upset, because midterms, it's going to be my fault, not the fault of the feds for feeding us BS. It's not going to be the fault of Turning Point USA for lying and thinking that they're brighter than us and seemingly not caring about the investigation. It's not going to be the fault of, I don't know, maybe actual politicians like Donald Trump, who's the president of the United States, and looked us in the face and said, are we still talking about the Epstein files? No, that's not his fault. The fault is Candace Owens for wanting to figure out who murdered her friend. And don't you guys get it? Like, we're just an algorithm. Why do you care so much about humans? Like, why are you a human? Like, if somebody in your family died.
And she's talking about kind of human emotions and loss and how people kind of deal with loss, which again explains my point that I've been making from the kind of beginning of this, saying, hey, I don't always agree with what she says, and I think she should clarify a lot more and not kind of do a lot of the kind of, I just personally don't like the marketing, right? I don't like being kind of teased and being told that this is going to change everything next weekend, though, in 3 days from now. You better tune into, and I'm like, just release it now. Like, whatever information you have, just release it now. I want to know what's really going on here. That would be my only kind of criticism for Candace. My criticism from Tim is like saying, hey, there's a bigger picture here outside of this kind of like e-drama. Now, Tim responded to this in an interesting way. Anyway, this goes on.
Dies, you need to focus on midterms. Okay? That is the point of a Tim Pool show.
Now, Tim's saying that because Tim's like, okay, the big picture here, the big umbrella movement, I want us to win. I want Charlie's legacy to be there. I want TPUSA to still be there. I want good things to happen. And Candace is saying, no, doesn't matter. We need to find out, and we need to fight for what actually really happened to Charlie, as of course she's going and talking about the kind of alternative theories of what she thinks happened.
It doesn't matter what you are going through at home. I want you guys to hear this, okay? I don't care if you have family members that are dying, family members who have died, if you have children that you care about and you maybe don't want to live in a world that's run by pedophiles. You need to put that all aside and vote for whoever the hell Tim Pool tells you to vote for. I just want to platform that idea. I think obviously there's something wrong with me, and Tim Pool's got it figured out. His soul seems like it's really intact, and it's not for sale at all. Anyways, we'll take a quick break.
And that's Candace's response here. And people are like, they're just kind of roasting each other. And again, there's a lot of different particular takes on this. Murray Rothbart made a kind of a similar point like I did in yesterday's video. He did it in a less gentle way, obviously, because I have my own relationships with all the parties involved here. One more than the other, obviously. But he goes off and says, the Epstein files, what happened with Netanyahu, the war in Gaza, the Iran bombing, giving TikTok to Larry Ellison, minimum progress in Maha, the failure of Doge, the failure of cutting the budget, quote, abysmal deportation numbers, supporting H-1Bs, importing 600K Chinese students, saying Americans are incapable of filing enough highly skilled jobs, and attacking the most reliable conservative Republicans like Thomas Massey while supporting deep state neocons like Lindsey Graham. is why people argue we're going to lose the midterms. I think that's compelling. But there is a component of TPUSA as a major institution. So this is to counter this point, because I agree with this point, but to add on to it, in order to give a better understanding of Tim's point here, which I think is worth noting, TPUSA is the major rallier. It's Charlie's legacy, and I think it's pretty fair to say Charlie allowed Donald Trump to become the president of the United States by galvanizing a lot of people in the middle, a lot of people who never voted to vote, especially a lot of younger people. Tim's making the argument we're not going to win if Candace says, hey, take away your donations from TPUSA, as of course, if they're going to be bankrupt, if they're going to lose their money, as of course, there's already kind of rumors about them not doing too well. They are highlighting Tucker Carlson at their TPUSA event, and that was a big red line for a lot of the big donors. If they lose that money, they won't be able to galvanize the youth. Some people already say, well, it doesn't really matter because it was Charlie that galvanized the youth, and TPUSA is not going to be the same TPUSA without him, and they're not going to be as powerful as they were. Now, Tim Pool kind of insinuated who benefits most from taking out Charlie. And he says Candace did, because again, Candace's numbers and prominence went up. Everyone was talking about who's going to be replacing Charlie, who's going to be the most kind of prominent person after Charlie. Is it going to be Nick? Is it going to be Ben? Neither of them. It's Candace. Candace is getting all the views, and her show has been one of the most popular, biggest shows out there, right? But I would argue, to counter that point, the biggest winner is the left, right? The biggest winner is the intelligentsia. The biggest winner is the people trying to divide and conquer us. Those are the biggest winners, as the left-wing intelligentsia deep state sees all of us taking out the fangs and knives against each other, while they, of course, will be walking in and having the midterms and probably getting 2028 and then doing whatever they wanted with us. As the Quartering responded to this by saying, we don't care about your stupid midterms, Candace Owens. And then he goes on, we know Candace, you've always been a fraud. Fun fact, look up her name and whatever. Quartering doesn't like Candace. I think it's pretty clear that's pretty clear here. Now, there's also a lot of accusations. People saying Candace is making millions. TPUSA is making millions. Yeah, there's a lot of money, especially if you're on the top of the game. What does that have to do with anything, right? Now, some people are saying her net worth is $200 million, $300 million. Now, she's also dealing with a lot of lawsuits. We're going to see what's going to happen with the Macron's lawsuit. That's going to be a major one, as a lot of people are saying that could lead to a very similar situation to what happened to Alex Jones, which I hope doesn't happen. It's a pretty wild and crazy suit here. Now, there's a big question here, whether or not there's going to be a debate. TPUSA invited her to a debate. She accepted. Then it was like it's all being hashed out in the public. And she's like, there's no email, there's no DM. And then TPUSA says, hey, we're going to do this show. You said anytime, anywhere. TPUSA, this time here. Then she said, you want me to just travel last minute? I have kids. I have a show. Like, traveling last minute and dropping your stuff, especially when you have a lot going on for you, it's very difficult. And now she said, we'll live stream it, and I'll call in. I'll Skype in, which is fine. Now, allegedly, TPUSA is saying no. Now there's this response going on saying it has been decided by the public that the best response for this is for my team to live stream and provide commentary since you already picked our regular podcasting time. We look forward to providing live responses to your once and for all answers. As Blake Neff of the TPUSA said yesterday, we made it clear that we would be scheduling a formal response to the allegations and accusations you made. We decided that response will be delivered during a live stream on December 15th. Thank you for your response, letting us know that you will not be joining the broadcast. And it's again, we're doing it. We're not doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. I hope they do it, and I know a lot of people are coming into this being like, I hope they win. I hope she wins. I hope she loses. And I'm like, could we maybe, and this would be a miracle. It's not going to happen, but this would be a miracle, and this is my ask. And if you agree with this ask, share this video. My ask is that the two of them come together. It's always best to have these conversations face to face, eye to eye. You see the energy and the juju, and you're able to, of course, do this. Maybe there's a neutral location where they could do this. But my ask would be the two come together, actually try to have a legitimate conversation back and forth to try to understand each other, and then be able to, of course, come to a peace. All right? And then let's have a debate. TPUSA, let's have a debate. Candace versus Tim or whoever. Let's have a conversation. Right? Now, we're going to see what's going to be happening here. I hope this debate happens, and I hope it is a peaceful one. And again, this goes back and forth to so much, like he said, she said, they did this. Deal with it, talk it out, and let's become adults. That's what I ask. Thank you so much for supporting me on LukeUnfiltered.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that, watching, subscribing, clicking the notification button here on YouTube.com/WeAreChampions.